Hey, welcome to Tony Talk. Let's set the scene where conversations flow smooth, if you know what I mean. We dive deep into topics that spark and ignite culture and politics in the moon soft light. Like rhythm beats and a soulful vibe. Real talk, no sugar, we keep it alive.
They ain't breaking the silence with every single word. In a world full of noise, hear what you've heard. From the streets to the jazz bars where the real ones play. Let's unravel the fabric of our modern day sway. R&B melodies weaving through the air. Thoughts tumble and dance, it's more than just flair. Hey, no right or wrong, just shades of gray. Tony's here to challenge in a soulful way. So think critically, open your mind. In this rhythms of life, let's see what do we find. Tony Talk the stage where we break the mold. Taboo topics, treasures to behold. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, it's like Sunday brunch, sipping on sweet tea. We mix it up with jazz, real talk just flows free. Politics and culture, yeah, they're intertwined in the heartbeat of music. Real truths and wine, not here to preach. We just share our views, sit back and relax. Let's light the fuse, conversations that matter. Let's take it high, R&B rhythms in the jazzed up sky. So think critically, open your mind. In this rhythms of life, let's see what do we find. Tony Talk the stage where we break the mold. Taboo topics, treasures to behold. Let the music guide us, don't be afraid. In the depths of discussion, that's where we wait. Jazz notes in the background, we're keeping it true. Every voice matters, we're hearing from you. It's not about the answers to questions we raise. In this soulful journey, we're setting a blaze. So as we wrap this intro and get ready to dive, let's ignite the passion. Let's feel alive in the tapestry of life. Every thread counts. Join the conversation, hear the daily mounts. From the boardroom whispers to street corner cries, we're shining a light. Let's open our eyes, it's Tony Talk, baby. Bring your truth to the flow with a jazz R&B vibe. Let the good times grow, so grab your seat, lean in. Don't you roam, tune in to Tony, where you're never alone. Real talk, real voices, that's the aim of the game. On this soulful journey, we're changing the frame.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Tony L Talks. I'm your host, Tony L. Thank you for joining me. I know I haven't been on here for a while and I've been pretty inconsistent, but I am back and I'm going to be consistent because I see with all of the craziness out here in the social media world that we need a voice of sanity. I know that when you're a person who is an independent, when you're someone who likes to call balls and strikes, you tend to piss people off. But hey, that's just how my mama raised me, and I'm going to continue to be that way. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about New York City's rent freeze. I live here in New York City, Brooklyn, East New York. A lot of people know me. And those of you who know me, you know I've been pretty politically active for a while here in New York City on the ground. And it's because I truly care about my city. I truly care about my home. This is where I was born and raised. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And I have a vested interest in this city succeeding. I have family here. I built my life here. But unfortunately, in recent times, we've seen somewhat of an invasion into our city. And I use the word invasion because we have a massive influx of people who have been coming into this city with a very different agenda, and one that has interrupted the culture and the politics and the economy of our city. And if we don't start taking this seriously, we're going to really see the destruction, the imminent collapse of New York City. Now, one of the things that we've seen in the political landscape is we have seen that things have really been moving in seemingly one direction. Now, I know we get a lot of, reports from our government officials that try to tout, these crime statistics saying that crime is down. But we know that a lot of that is false information. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Anyone who lives in the city, you can just go outside. You can go ride the subway. You can walk down the street. And you know that New York City, unfortunately, is not a safe place to live right now. That's why I got my son up out of here. He's in college. He's doing great, by the way. He's out there in Florida, and I'm very proud of him. So, I'm also very proud of my daughter, Bailey, who she's about to graduate, but she just took her finals and she got a distinction, which is in England something that it's like honor roll. But yeah, she's getting her law degree in a few months. So I can't wait to go to England to go celebrate that. Now, getting back to what we're talking about, this New York City rent freeze. Now, I see a lot of people have been rejoicing about, freezing the rent. And the sad thing about it is, I've been talking about this for like the past year. I've been talking about this since Zohran Mamdani was on the campaign trail, basically giving out candy and all sorts of pie in the sky promises. And I was trying to explain to the people who it sounded so good to, that if you do research, you'll understand why the things that he was promising are just not going to come to fruition. Now, here's the thing. So many people voted for Zohran Mamdani based in the free things and the change that he was promising. But the problem is, if you don't actually look into the details, you're not going to understand how certain changes are going to impact your life adversely. And we're starting to see the effects of that now. Now, this is the honeymoon phase mostly, where everyone is seeing, okay, you saw the recent announcement about freezing the rent. I know you guys are happy about it, but there's a reason why you should be terrified about what has just happened. And the thing is, sadly, in our politics, we tend to have a short-term memory. So I'm going to break down to you guys. I put up a video about it earlier, why this rent freeze is such a problem. And then I'm going to get a little bit deeper into the politics. So first of all, freezing the rent. Zohran Mamdani ran on a campaign of freezing the rent. But what a lot of people missed in that slogan was that he was talking about freezing the rent for people who were residing in rental units that were already below the market rate. Rent stabilized units are basically, we all know that rent stabilization laws are what it prevents a landlord from going up a certain amount on the rent every year or every 2 years to keep up with the cost of inflation and the rising cost of utilities, insurance, and things of that nature. So let's say you were paying $2,000 a month. I think maybe like a 4% increase or something like that would be maybe like after 2 years, $80. So you'd be paying $2,080. Now, what Zohran Mamdani did, well, by appointing his rent control board, the people to the board, 6 out of 9 of them, he basically created this executive body that was going to basically do exactly what he promised. So what they did, pure politics, by the way, and they're not supposed to be a political body. In fact, one of them quit because of the bias and the politics that was so infused in the process. But what they did was they decided that they were going to freeze the rent on 1-year leases and 2-year leases in all rent stabilized units. Now, that has never been done before in the history of New York City. Now, that sounds great for the people who are living in these rent stabilized units. One of the people who was living in such a unit was Zohran Mamdani, who was paying well below market rate for his apartment, if you guys remember. And he was making significantly more money than the average person who would be in such a unit. Now, the unit that he was staying in, I believe it was at market rate like $3,000 something a month. And Zohran Mamdani was paying $2,300 a month for his apartment. What does that mean? Now, Zohran Mamdani just froze the rent for himself, even though he's not there anymore. I'm just giving you an example. People like him, most of these people who are living in New York City and paying much lower rent, they just got a windfall. No increases on their rent. Meanwhile, you got to now listen here. Meanwhile, the property owners, the landlords, the people who own these properties that are required to maintain these properties, you have just capped their income while the cost to maintain their properties continues to rise. We already know that property taxes are raising, insurance up, light bill, gas bill, water bill. Now, anybody who owns a property, whether you're a primary resident or not, you know how expensive it is just to be able to try to keep up with the rising cost of the utilities. Now, man, there's so much to talk about with this thing. So the young lady who quit, she basically called the process, like she said it was decided before there was even a vote, like just from the point of appointments, and it was all political theater. That's what she described it as. And of course, we know it's political theater. There's supposed to be an objective, unbiased body that looks at all of the information from, you know, the tenants' leases, the landlords, the market conditions, all of these things. And you're supposed to make an unbiased, intelligent decision that is based on the economic viability of New Yorkers. What they did was it was all politics. And she said one of the reasons that she cited why she quit was because she was saying that clearly the cost to maintain properties, the cost of landlords is surging higher than inflation. But yet for some reason they froze basically they froze their income. So you know what that's going to lead to? Your handyman or your maintenance man in those larger buildings, people are going to start getting laid off. You know what else that's going to lead to? That's going to lead to more dilapidated housing. It's going to lead to slower responses for maintenance. It's going to lead to less or a longer response time when the elevator goes out. It's going to go to more violations. And this is the thing. This is the slick thing about the way that the government does. And they've been doing this for a while. This didn't just begin with Zohran Mamdani. Now, if you own property in New York City, whether you, like I said, whether you're a primary resident or you're a landlord, you're a big landlord, mom pop landlord, you know one thing about New York City is the weaponization of the city agencies against property owners. It's just basically Gestapo tactics now. It's just the tax you got to pay to live here and to survive. There's so many ways of regulating people, of just extracting as much money from you as possible so you can barely even survive. And so you have all of you have HPD, you have DOB, ECB, you have all of these agents, the OSC, the Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement, that wasn't even created for the purpose that they operate in now. But all of these city agencies have been targeting property owners for violations, for fines. Now, does that mean that there aren't slumlords in New York City? Absolutely not. There's a shit there. Yes, there are definite slumlords in New York City. A certain ilk too, but I'll get into that later. Probably with my platform, all of us, it's a new social media platform that we're building where we protect everyone's right to free speech, where it's not a censorship platform like all the rest of social media. But anyway, so what happens when they cap the ability to make income in these properties? It's going to lead to several things. One, I already discussed, which is dilapidated housing. You're going to get worse conditions in these buildings, and that's going to lead to violations. It's going to lead to calls for violations from the city. Now, the city's going to come out. They're going to get piled up with violations, and what happens? That's a whole lot of fines, a whole lot of fees that a lot of these people are not going to be able to pay. And then what does that do? That sets the stage for seizure of private property, where they come in and they seize property. The city seizes property. They take your shit. through eminent domain or whatever. A lot of shit. Some of these people, they'll try to pursue criminal charges. Now, I understand the need for tenants' rights, tenants' advocacy, but at the same time, you cannot do this in a way that is just simply punitive to anyone who owns property, doing all of this at the expense of landlords. Because anybody who owns any sort of property, you know, especially since 2020, with those eviction moratoriums, how disgusting the L&T laws here are in New York City, the landlord tenant laws. If you're someone who's a tenant, you're a renter in New York, you can get away with murder. You don't have to pay your damn rent for years, and it'll take years for a landlord to evict you. And even if they do, like, get close to the end of the line, or usually they end up so exhausted from the process that they end up having to pay the tenant to get out. So it's like legalized extortion. So one of the adverse effects is dilapidated housing. But what else is going to happen? It's going to lead to more warehousing of rental units. Why? Because there's no incentive for landlords, for these property owners, to put their apartments on the market when there's no profit incentive. It's business. And coincidentally, socialists want to remove all profit incentive and decommodify housing. That's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about, because they're completely hostile to ownership, which is a serious fucking problem. So, as a matter of fact, Sia Weaver, who is Zohran Mamdani's, what is she, like the tenants' rights something? This woman has openly called for the abolition of private property, seizing private property, because all private property home ownership, she says home ownership is white supremacy, and that everyone needs to lose their homes, including people of color, because it's nothing more than an element of white supremacy. These are the types of people that you guys elected. And I know people say, well, we elected it. Well, when you don't vote, you're electing them. Did you know that this latest election, this primary cycle that just happened, do you know how many people came out to vote in New York City? 17% of the voting population in New York City actually voted in these primaries. And I'm going to tell you why that's such a key strategy to the DSA. Now, of the people who won those primaries, no one got, in the districts that voted, what percentage of those districts do you think came out and voted? Like, I cannot pronounce her name. What the hell is her name? I'll figure it out. I'll just tell you this: between 7 and 8%. Between 7 and 8% of the voting population in those districts actually came out to vote. And of that 7 to 8%, a plurality or a majority were under the age of 30. I'm sorry, under the age of 34. That should tell you guys something. That should tell you what we're dealing with. You see, I think the DSA, they are benefiting from a years-long practice of our elected officials continuously ignoring their constituents. But we've allowed that to happen because we have not been an active, we haven't been an active constituency. That's just the truth of it. And I get it. Times are hard. It's getting expensive here. People are trying to survive. But when you just get so frustrated and disenchanted with the process, and you just kind of check out of the process, what you're doing is you're handing that power and the authority over to the other people, many of them who are the transplants who have invaded this city. You're deferring your politics to them. And that is the problem. Because the overwhelming majority of Zohran Mamdani supporters are either very young, very white liberal, female, or they've moved into New York City within the last 5 years. their transplants. These people, and it's funny too, because man, bro, I've been warning so many people about this, bro. And I hate the I told you so, right? Because this I told you so is one that is going to affect all of us. I have said from the very beginning that Zohran Mamdani has clearly been the gentrification candidate. He was that from the gate, from the beginning. You could always tell by looking at his base of support. All the transplants, all the gentrifiers were coming out in droves for Zohran Mamdani. I remember I saw this some video, some big event he had where they were like, yeah, this is Brooklyn. And I just saw a sea of white faces and pink and blue hair. And I'm like, wait, that's Brooklyn? This is Biggie, Brooklyn? This is East New York, Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Fort Greene? No, this is not Brooklyn. Folks, this is not New York anymore. That is why you see so many New Yorkers fleeing. And as they leave, the transplants continue to come in. So let me get to well, damn, there's so much I want to cover, bro. There's so much I want to cover. But let's talk about the strategy of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. First of all, they're not Democrats. The first people to tell you that they're not Democrats will be the DSA. They openly state that they have infiltrated the Democrat Party in order to forward their agenda. They hate the Democrat Party. Now, don't get me wrong. Shit, I can't stand the Democrat Party neither. I can't stand the establishment, the institution, whether it's Democrat establishment or Republican establishment. It is the establishment that is the problem. But the problem is we've seen so many people who we have put in office who are completely ignored. Now they're outright ignoring their constituents, bro. Like they're laughing at you. Like most of them, they're not even doing town halls anymore, meeting with their constituents because they know how much they've been failing them. And they expect the hostility. And I don't know if you guys have seen some of these videos with like AOC coming out to her district and people are protesting her and she's just sitting there laughing and clapping while they're protesting her. I can't remember the last time I seen Hakeem Jeffries. He's my congressman. I think he came out for some like little fake event the other day. But the thing is, these people are just not representing you. So that is the perfect opportunity for people like the DSA to come on in and they'll speak to you in a way that makes you believe they care about you. Oh, we understand what you're going through. These corrupt politicians, these evil, wealthy people, they're making more money than us. We need to tax them more. We need to go after them. We need to punish them because we need to redistribute wealth. Hold on. We need to take their assets and divvy it amongst the rest of us. That's the type of change we need. We need more government to intercede, get in the way, and fix it for us. There's no problem too big that your government can't fix. Isn't that what Zohran Mamdani said? He has people actively begging for more government, more regulation. That's more rules, more dependency. These people want UBI, universal basic. Oh my God. Bro, was nobody like paying attention to anything that this guy was saying on the campaign trail? Not at all. No. Did no one hear when he said, you know, we want to put everyone in community housing projects? Did no one hear that? that we want to abolish private property, decommodify housing, home ownership is white supremacy. Hello? No? No? And the people that just got elected to Congress, they've called for abolishing. Oh my God, bro. Yo. Okay. For abolishing ICE, right? Abolishing police, releasing all the prisoners from the prisons. I'm not joking. Clearing out the prisons. What else did they say? What else did this chick say? Oh, no more borders. No borders. Amnesty for every illegal alien that is in the country. How y'all feel about that, black people? Because I know there's one group that competes directly in the workforce more than anyone else with illegals. That's black people. And of black people, black men specifically. How y'all feel about that? These DSA folks, they're coming in, they're gentrifying y'all, they're displacing everybody, they're kicking y'all out of your communities, first of all. They're calling for and facilitating the flooding of our communities with illegal aliens and providing them with our resources. We're already resource deficient in our communities, especially in Democrat-run districts, but they are now pledging our resources to illegals. They get to go to school free. They get Medicaid. Remember, they were lying. Democrats were saying, no, they ain't none of them getting Medicaid. No, they get Medicaid. They get food, housing. Bro, what are we talking about here? But, oh, I guess I'm xenophobic and I'm hateful, anti-immigrant. My parents were immigrants to this country. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm anti-illegal immigration. Because if you have no laws in this country, if you, like, where there's no order, just do whatever you want. Are y'all like advocating for a purge or something? But anyway, before I start, going off on a tangent, I want you guys to hear something. Oh, and so the point that I was making about the DSA is that the DSA, they are very patient and they are very organized and they are very strategic. And they are very good at capitalizing on low voter turnout districts. And I know a lot of people tend to say, oh, well, that's a New York problem. Ha, so what? Good for you. No, bro. This has much larger implications. And it's not as simple as many of you are making it out to be. I continue to tell you that, movements like these, we've seen this before throughout history. But to think that this is just isolated to New York City is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous because we've already seen socialist victories in places like Iowa, Arizona, Texas, Kansas, Maine's 2nd district, which is where Trump won that district by 10 points. And they just elected a socialist. Now, before I get into the solutions, let me just talk a little bit more about this. So what I'm going to show you, first of all, this is the young lady who was talking about clearing out the prisons, no borders, amnesty for all illegals, clearing out the prisons. Her name is, oh my God, Darylisa Chevalier. I guess that's her name. Yeah, someone just said, what's wrong with socialism? Bro, I'm talking about it. So anyway, and I think one of the problems too with socialism is it's so wrapped up in virtue signaling this pompous virtue signaling. Has anyone ever noticed that the loudest and most prominent and active socialists are wealthy? Has no one noticed that? Socialism is a movement of wealthy people who take advantage of poor people. That's all it is. Zohran Mamdani, the socialist mayor, is a capitalist. Zohran Mamdani owns rental properties in Uganda, as his parents do. But guess what? He's against you. He's against you all owning property here in America, in New York City. Like, yo, you can't make this up. Homeboy does short-term rentals in his investment property in Uganda, but he was actively campaigning or openly rejecting. Well, he was campaigning also because of the HTC against the bill that I wrote that was in the city council, Intro 948, that was protecting homeowner autonomy for 1- and 2-family homeowners who reside in their own property, subjecting us to regulations and rules that are reserved for commercial landlords. Why? Because Zohran Mamdani, the DSA, and this administration is openly hostile to home ownership for anyone else besides them. They are the bourgeois, or the bourgeoisie, as some people will say. And they look at all of you as the proletariat. You see, the problem is with today's socialists, which has always been the problem with socialism, is they always target the people above them. They target the wealthy, the people who are wealthier than they are. Why? Because they want to become the bourgeoisie. They're just using the rest of you as the useful idiots to their agenda. Marxism isn't wrapped in love and care and virtue and decency. It's control. It's authoritarianism. It's ruling over the rest of the population. Somebody said, blame New Yorkers. They voted for his ass. No. Actually, that's no. The transplants voted for him, and New Yorkers have either been fleeing or they've been so disenchanted that they're just not voting. They gave up. And that's why I was out there actively campaigning of my own volition and on my own dime for Andrew Cuomo, who I can't stand, by the way. But I knew that thinking intelligently and objectively, that he was clearly the best option that we had on the table. But because of the emotional reaction and the manipulation of the public, a lot of it due to social media as well, we got Zohran Mamdani. And usually I don't try to impugn people's character, right? Because I don't know the man personally. But the thing is, I see him. I watch him. I see the things he says, the things he does. I match it to. I really believe that guy is a bad person. I truly think that he is a wicked, evil person. And he's a fucking racist too, by the way. And I have this information. I mean, I can see it anyway before all of this, but I have this firsthand account from people who know that man. He's a fucking racist. And I told you fucking black people, stop falling for these damn these fucking leftist politicians who pretend that they like you or they love you. Listen, caring about you and loving you is not a condition of voting. You vote based on policy. And if you're going to vote based on policy, that means you have to do the homework, do the work, do your due diligence in order to understand what you're voting for or what you're not voting for. And here we are. So, and here's the brilliant thing about their strategy. You got to give them kudos for this. I saw it. I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe New Yorkers, our bullshit meter is a lot higher than everybody else. But I saw the play early. That disingenuous, smug smile, you know, the dancing around questions, never answering anything directly, but never actually refuting the certain claims, the arrogance, the smugness. I knew. I mean, and the thing is, based on the DSA, what their plan is. They're not hiding it. But yet, you still had the Tish James out there. You had all of these, these so-called black progressive city council members, these black Democrats just coalescing, loving on him. Your black social justice warriors, many of them grifters on pimping black pain and trauma. They all coalesced around this guy who didn't even talk to y'all during the election, the primaries. He didn't even speak to you. What is it about y'all that love voting for people who don't even acknowledge you? And if they do, it's in a fleeting, dismissive manner just to get you, Black History Month or something. Say, all right, get out of my face, black person. That's it. Yeah, go ahead. Move, go away, nigger. Do you know how many black media organizations and nonprofits, including me, repeatedly tried to reach out to that guy during the campaign just to see where he's at, ask important questions, hold him accountable if needed, anything? Nope. That motherfucker didn't even respond to nobody. He didn't even respond. The writing was on the wall. And all of your so-called leaders, your black leaders, they was out there kissing his ass, trying to get some positions. You saw Tish James out there marching with him. He's supposed to be a Muslim, but, LGBT, trans agendas and all that. You saw her out there with him. Now she's complaining. Oh, I'm so disappointed. Oh, he's blowing up the Democratic Party. Hello? Did you not see that when you were busy selling out your constituents? All of these fake-ass black gatekeepers who are basically dangling their black constituents as a bartering tool. And you weren't even bartering. You just handed the shit over willingly while asking for nothing in return except just continued access. This is why I don't respect none of y'all. But he's a coon. He's a coon. He hates black people. No, I love black people. I love black people enough to tell us when we're making a huge fucking mistake. A mistake that we've been making for more than 60 years. Placing no conditions on our vote and or stepping aside when other people come in and impose their political will upon us. Where's the accountability? When are we going to say, oh, damn, yeah, we probably shouldn't have trusted them. We probably should have got more involved. Maybe I should have done more research. Maybe I should have talked to some of those black conservatives who are out there saying, hey, they're scamming you. They're playing you. Does that mean you got to be a black conservative? No, I'm not a black conservative. Even though people think I am, I have more conservative views, yes. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I think they're all corrupt. So the only thing I can do is be objective and engage in critical thinking and analysis so I can actually call balls and strikes. No matter who it's convenient for or inconvenient to, it doesn't matter to me. Because the one thing that has been missing from our discourse is the truth. And why is there no truth? Because we don't even have access to information. I see somebody in my TikTok chat just said, "You're MAGA." What is MAGA? First of all, I'm not MAGA. But that's an example of the ignorance that people like myself deal with when trying to communicate with other Americans, honestly, because it ain't just black people that do that shit. Everyone is so committed to their tribes that there's no real conduit for communication, progress, understanding, no mid ground, no understanding that, you know, there are actually shared experiences that people can engage in and talk about in order to move forward with a certain agenda. As a voting public, you know what we don't do? We don't work together at all. But guess who does work together, even though they try to give you the impression that they don't? Congress. Both sides. Republicans and Democrats. These people work with each other every damn day. They go to dinner with each other. They eat. They're got their little per diem, going to lunch, going to their to the weddings of their colleagues' children and shit. And then they get on the camera. Oh, those damn Democrats. Oh, those damn Republicans. They're the ones who are responsible. No, they're the ones responsible. Meanwhile, they're feeding you your arguments to hate your neighbor and disinvite your family members to Thanksgiving. And they spread that shit through their propagandists in the media. And anyone who tries to share that truth is shadow banned on social media, like me, by the way. I'm pretty sure there's probably like a collected 5 people that are seeing this video right now. But you know what pisses them off? It still won't shut me up. It still won't shut me up. You can't silence the truth. That's it. You can't silence the truth. So, before I get preachy again, I'm sorry, y'all, because it's a lot. It's a lot. I want to show y'all something. Now, remember I told you the DSA, they have their strategy, right? Very good. They're very clever, too. I'm going to give it to them. I want you to see. Now, remember, you had these Democrats, these establishment Democrats endorsing them. It took Hakeem Jeffries a while to endorse Mamdani. We know why. We know why. But you know, Hakeem wasn't fucking with Mamdani from the beginning. But he had to play the politics. See, that's the problem. The fact that you think you have to play the politics. But anyway. Oh, let me get myself back on camera. So this is what Hakeem Jeffries gets for endorsing Zohran Mamdani. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, because I think he does. But I want you all to see what Democrats get for accommodating the bullying, the DSA. These are you're next. That's your that's your room full of white Democrat socialists who are saying you're next, Hakeem Jeffries. Now, I don't care about the racial symbolism, because people are gonna be like, oh, the first black potential black speaker of the House, blah blah. No, your black ass is next. Didn't you endorse him? Why is he turning on you? Like, you couldn't see this? You got Tish James out there crying to CNN. Oh my God. Oh, These socialists, they don't know. Let me show you. Let me show you. Because I think this shit is hilarious. And I'm sorry, I think it's well deserved. That's the thing. I think it's all well deserved. I think they've all earned this. It's just a shame that it's coming at the expense of their constituents who they threw under the bus. New York Attorney General Letitia James, a Democrat, bristled at fellow Democrat Mayor Zohran Mamdani's growing clout after a slate of socialist candidates rode his endorsements to primary victories Tuesday night. Some of the candidates that he has supported are individuals who do not understand the politics of New York City, the cultural differences from district to district, who have not been part of the history and the struggle of some of these districts and are relatively new to the body of politics. That's what Tish James said. Tish James, who prosecuted President Donald Trump. She added that she and other Democratic leaders are disappointed in Mamdani. Black and Hispanic voters don't like the trick the DSA is trying to pull in Harlem, using the forces of gentrification to try to supplant our agenda and subvert our priorities. Bro, come on, y'all. Who's been talking about this? Who's been consistently saying Zohran Mamdani is the gentrification candidate, even though he never said the word once on the campaign trail? That should have been your signal right there. I was out there everywhere, bro. I was all over social media. I was showing up at protests. I was going to City Hall with a freaking megaphone. I was saying that, bro. The one word Zohran Mamdani never said on his entire campaign trail was gentrification. But the people who were out there in droves supporting him were gentrifiers. Hello, it's simple math. Yo, bro, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. And now everybody's crying foul. Everybody's getting mad. You know what I'm saying? Look. Hold on. Share it. Oh, am I sharing it right now? Oh, damn, I wanted to share the screenshot. Hold on. Let me get rid of this. How the hell do I get rid of this? All right, let me come back to this screen. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can share it now. Nope. Damn, it won't work. All right. I was going to show you a screenshot of Tish James, who's been beefing about this. Oh, here we go. Can we see it? No, it's not there. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having technical difficulties with this damn thing. Oh well. I'll figure it out later. Oh, wait. Let me delete this. I think I know what the problem is. Let me try it one more time. Nope. Doesn't work. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, Bottom Up Entertainment. So, I want to show you guys who just won those congressional races. I think it's important that you guys get a look at who's going to be representing you. Y'all, this is crazy. Now, this is the DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America. I know the text is kind of small, but I'm going to read this to you. All right? I want you to know, I want you to hear the things that they stand for. Oh, what's the first thing that popped up? Abolish the Senate. Abolish the Senate. Okay. Oh, good. I can zoom it in. Hold on. Let me see if I can reframe it. Can I move it over? All right, this is their argument for abolishing the Senate. Now, hold on. I wanted to go through all of their. Okay, I can use this one. I'll use this article here. Yeah, let me use this. Don't worry. Next time, I'll have it. I'll get it together with the this whole production of this thing. All right, cool. This is from the City Journal. So this is where the DSA just updated their political agenda, right? And I want you guys to see some of the things that they have updated. Now, first of all, well, their new agenda is called "Workers Deserve More," right? And here, the document commits DSA to scrapping the U.S. Senate, abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state, defunding the Department of War. That means, we have no defense, no national defense. Amnesty for all immigrants. That's an interesting one. Amnesty for all immigrants. That means all the illegals get to stay, and you have the pleasure of funding their stay here. We're replacing the president and the Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to the Congress. So what they're saying is they want Congress to be the ruling body of the government. They want a new constitution, whereas there is no more president and there's no more Supreme Court. There's no co-equal branches of government, just the rule of law. Their law. You get it? That's authoritarianism. So when I tell you guys that socialism is nothing more than the child of communism, this is exactly what I mean. Socialism always leads to communism. They're already calling for the government to seize the means of production. They want government ownership, government-owned grocery stores, government-owned housing. And by the way, when we talk about the rent freeze, getting back to that, one of the biggest excuses that Mamdani and previous administrations have tried to make in seizing private property is slumlords. Oh, they're slumlords. These slumlord landlords. Do you know who the worst slumlord is in the city of New York, folks? NYCHA. That's New York City. New York City is the biggest slumlord in New York City. Ask anybody that lives in the PJs. Ask anybody that lives in NYCHA housing, bro. Yo, this is crazy. Bro, oh God. I gotta tell you this. Somebody just said, Tony, I thought I was already following you. Why is it asking me to follow you again? Because I'm censored on social media, unfortunately. I don't know. The truth is just not really allowed. And oh damn, I wish I had the let me see if I could pull it up. Because just so you guys know, I've created a new social media platform where there will be no censorship. There is no censorship. It is currently in beta right now. We've invited a few hundred people in to test out the platform. Give me your experiences as we continue to develop it. It's going to have all of the features that you're used to on social media. Right now, it's in V1 version 1. I'm not loading it up with all the features yet, but you can post. You can post reels. You can post, video content. Put up posts. You can write articles, like, share, all of that type of stuff. Repost. So you guys need to go check that out because our social media platforms have been overrun by the intel agencies. I mean, let's be honest. It's the security state. It's the intelligence agencies. It's the deep state that runs all of our social media and all of our so-called access to information. TikTok is basically owned by Israel. Yeah, I know y'all don't like that shit, but it is. Facebook, that's like Meta is peak censorship. Just because they release the reins a little bit, they loosen the collar a little bit on some of you guys, you think they're not censoring you anymore. I am listen, I'm case study number one. I will never accept or believe that Meta has gotten rid of censorship until I'm no longer censored. But they've been censoring me for like years now, especially during COVID. Like after that, Biden's White House was after me, just like the so-called disinformation does it. So I already know, I know I'm on that list, and I know I'm marked. So that is why, instead of complaining about the problem, I decided to build a solution, which is a new social media platform. I'll be launching it on a large scale very soon. But if you guys want to come in, you can come in early as a founding member of the platform. It's a total flip of the algorithm on its head. We've all been chasing the algorithm just to get attention, to be able to be seen. I mean, we're basically paying to be seen now on social media, which is ridiculous. You're paying to boost your visibility, even to just be seen in the comment sections now on X. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. All of us, the platform that I created for all of us, the algorithm chases you. And that's the fundamental difference, but we'll get into that later. So let's talk about the DSA a little bit more. Instead, DSA leadership added 4 amendments, one on real democracy. Now listen, pay attention. This is it. Calling for the replacement of the president's Supreme Court with an executive and judiciaries chosen by and subordinate to Congress, right? Another on police and prison abolition, a provision explicitly naming Jerusalem as the capital of a Palestinian state. Okay, all right. And a ranked choice voting section. But there's more. The document makes clear that achieving this vision would require building a new society from the ground up, accompanied by sweeping structural changes. I wanted to get to the part about I would also defund the Department of War. It would also defund the Department of War, close overseas bases. No, I ain't mad to an extent about that. And end all economic sanctions, which would include those in states like Iran, Cuba, Russia. The platform further endorses universal amnesty for illegal immigrants and ending restrictions on marriage, which would presumably entail the legalization of polygamy. The more makes room for multiple. This is what has allowed Bernie Sanders, the big tension was no, there was one where they basically wanted to become a pure democracy. They want to abolish the electoral college and elect and conduct a national elections based on popular vote. Do you know why we have an electoral college? Do you know why we have a republic? We live in a republic and not a democracy. A democracy is, in short, mob rule. In a democracy, 51% of the people can ignore the freedoms of 49%. But in a republic, 99% of people cannot even ignore the freedom of 1%. So what type of a society would you like to live in where California and New York decide every freaking election? We got to start making sense, y'all. And if California and New York decide every election, and we see the direction that California and New York are going in, are you sure that's what y'all want? Are you sure? Because that alone should be motivation for you to get up off your ass and get more involved in your politics on the local level. Change takes place from the bottom up. And the DSA has figured that out. And to his credit, Bernie Sanders was saying that quite often on the campaign trail. It's just sad that the only people that were listening were the fucking communists. So what are we going to do now? Are we going to continue to let this virus spread? Because I can tell you this, if this keeps happening, we're going to be beyond the point of no return. I don't want us to get there. Now, as it is now, the DSA benefits from low voter turnout elections. So what's one of the first things we can do? Become more politically active. Ask questions. Engage in conversations with people that you've been told to hate. We can actually start there. We can also hold the Democrat Party accountable, which you need to, for all of their failures without blowing up New York City and New York State and potentially the country. Because the support that you all see for Zohran Mamdani, whether you like it or not, it's a tantrum. That's all it is. It's an emotional reaction, an emotional response to decades of neglect by our political institutions that we have given license to neglect us. So the problem isn't even the corrupt Democrats and Republicans in Congress. The problem is us, because we have allowed it. And we have not invested enough of our intellectual capacity into understanding how we have enabled it, and we have even emboldened these people. So much so that they are so arrogant that they don't even pretend to care about the needs or feel obligated to represent the needs of the people who put them in office. Bro, when I saw AOC bop in on a table as her infuriated constituents were yelling and protesting, I said, oh shit, this is where it's at. The smug disrespect. And then y'all reelect these people. And that's the thing. You're reelecting them, A, because you're not doing your research and you're just looking at names that sound familiar to you. And B, most of you, the biggest voting base, the biggest voter block in New York right now is non-voters. Hold on. Looks like TikTok is getting ready to try to suspend my account. But yeah, so the Dems violated him. I don't know what that means. But yeah, so that's the DSA's agenda, folks. Good luck with that. But I'm going to close with this. I want you guys to see a brief excerpt from an interview that Zohran Mamdani was doing on, I think it was ABC News. Let's see. Is this it? Yeah. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit. Let's listen. I want you to listen.
Are going to make you the poster child for the Democratic Party.
Let them. We don't have to ask ourselves what life looks like if a socialist wins. I won last November, and over the course of these last 6 months, what we've delivered for working people are the very things we were told were impossible. We've delivered free childcare for 2-year-olds for the first time in New York City history. We've delivered tens of millions of dollars back to tenants who were taken advantage of by bad landlords.
Listen.
We've delivered 165,000 potholes being paved. And we've done all of these things while also delivering the lowest recorded crime in our city's history. That's what it looks like to have democratic socialism. And what you're seeing is that New Yorkers experienced this for 6 months and made the decision that they wanted to see more of it on the national stage as well.
So I'm going to walk through this.
Republicans are going to make you the poster child for the Democratic Party.
Let them. We don't have to ask ourselves what life looks like if a socialist wins.
Okay, so if you listen to him, he's already comfortable with being the new face of the Democrat Party, which has been the goal all along. I mean, hey, it is what it is. And I honestly don't even think that Zohran Mamdani is the leader, so to speak. But number one, The agenda has always been clear that the DSA, they want to take over the Democrat Party. Okay. I mean, I'm not happy with the Democrat Party at all. Like, I could never see myself voting for a Democrat, not at this stage anyway. But even the Republican Party, you're seeing them being taken over as well by a certain segment that is just so overtly neocon and prioritizing foreign interests over our American interests, that I actually think that it created a lane for all Americans to find a common goal with each other. But we're so distracted by the arguments that are fed to us, and we've become so tribalistic that we're not even willing to engage in, open discourse, respectful discourse. And then in this environment of censorship, it just gets so skewed. But let me continue. I want you to hear what he's saying. No, that's true. Somebody says, nah, MAGA is much smaller than the America First movement. I agree with that. I actually agree with that. And I think that MAGA somehow turned into MEGA. But then that's not the truth, too, because MAGA, from my engagement with MAGA, because I engage with everybody, and at least initially, and for a long time, MAGA was America First. But there was some sort of an infiltration or a subversion that I think we all noticed, where MAGA, they started calling it MEGA, make Israel great again. But then we just started to notice overall that it became overtly imperialist, just infested with neocon propaganda and policy. And even Donald Trump seemed to just do like a 180 on a lot of the things that he was even saying. Now, some of y'all ain't going to be comfortable with me saying that on the right, but hey, it is what it is. My point is that we are constantly being lied to by all of our elected officials, but they're not being held accountable. Who holds them accountable? We do. But if we continue to engage in excuse making for them when they fail in their commitments to you, the American people, then you are doing a disservice to your community, to your family, to yourself, and to your country. So yeah, I hold everybody accountable. Donald Trump, Hakeem Jeffries, who's my district leader, Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians. I don't care, bro. I don't care. We need adults in the room now. In this moment in history, we need adults in the room. Not spoiled brats, not entitled bigots, like so many of these white liberal Karens who have now just become so emboldened to just not only infantilize, but just be so overtly racist and hostile and condescending to black people. They've just been given license. And I'm gonna say one more thing too, because bro, this needs to be said. Before this last election in New York City for mayor, I said to black people, you better get out there and vote. Because if you do not make sure that Zoran Mamdani does not get in office, you are going to be permanently politically irrelevant in our politics, at least in New York City politics. And we're seeing it play out now. The constant unconditional loyalty to the Democrat Party has come with a consequence, one that many of us have been warning you about for a very long time. Because when you continue to pledge undying support without condition, while expecting or accepting or getting nothing in return, ultimately, your vote, your support has no value. And what are we seeing? We've been seeing this for a while. Your replacements have been getting shipped into the country at an exponential rate. Coincidentally, under the Biden administration, by the way, that so many of y'all are defending. And now you got the DSA saying all them 20 million people that came into the country illegally that they dumped mostly in your communities using your tax dollars and resources and bumping you out of the way. Now we got to give them amnesty. Free ride, free pass. You think they're going to be going to stay in Martha's Vineyard? To those of y'all in New York City, you think they're going to be going to live in Park Slope? You think they're going to be in Dumbo, Kensington, Bensonhurst, Bay Ridge, Howard Beach? No. They're going to be in Brownsville, East New York, Bed-Stuy, Jamaica, Queens, Cyprus. They're going to be dumping in your black ass and brown ass neighborhoods. Come on, y'all. We're smarter than this. We're smarter than this. But anyway, let me finish this off. Let me walk through this last part.
I won last November, and over the course of these last 6 months, what we've delivered for working people are the very things we were told were impossible. We've delivered free childcare for 2-year-olds for the first time in New York City history.
How'd you pay for it? First question. We delivered free childcare for 2 years. How are you paying for it? How'd you pay for it? With that balanced budget where you fucking had to get an $8 billion infusion from the state, and you refinance people's fucking pensions and shit. He borrowed money and he kicked the can down the road, and he thought he kicked it to 2028 when in fact he only managed to kick it to 2027. But if you all don't actually do your research, you won't know that. Let's continue.
We've delivered tens of millions of dollars back to tenants who were taken advantage of by bad landlords.
We've delivered tens of millions of dollars back to tenants from the. That was such a vague statement. It really made no sense. What money did you give to tenants? Because ain't no fucking tenants getting no damn money. Is he talking about all of the fines that he has levied against private property owners? Is that somehow supposed to translate to money going back to what money? First of all, what money goes back to tenants? Isn't their job to pay rent? Or that's a crime now? Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, because you have these socialists saying that landlords collecting rent is theft. That's the mindset of entitlement that has infested the minds of your today's socialists. Let's continue.
We've delivered 165,000 potholes being paved.
165,000, bro. I'm sorry, look, and I'm not hating, but bro, every administration, they do the pothole thing. First of all, they never covered up properly. They just put a little bit of the freaking tar, the asphalt shit on there. That, and anybody who lives in New York City and drives on these roads, you know that probably like 2 weeks after they cover the pothole, what happens, y'all? That shit sinks right back in. They don't actually fill the concrete under it. So it's bullshit. It's fake. It's fake, y'all. It's fake. Every election season, you see the bulldog, you see them out there paving the streets and the street paving. It's a scam. It's bullshit. I'm just letting y'all know. If you live in New York, you know. If you know, you know.
And we've done all of these things while also delivering the lowest recorded crime in our city's history. That's what it looks like to have Democratic.
Cap. Lowest recorded cap. See, this is what I'm talking about, bro. If you live in New York City, you know that this is not the lowest level of crime that you have seen in this city, bro. You see, this is what they do. And first of all, I'm sorry, because this frustrates me so much, because Eric Adams was doing the same shit too, touting all of these false crime statistics. Now, first of all, the violent crime is reported into the NIBRS. That's the National Incident-Based Reporting System. They totally revamped the whole process back in, I think, 2020 or 2021, where they changed the standard of reporting those stats to the FBI. Now, I can tell you that a lot of those stats just are not being reported. Like there are certain districts, precincts that just don't report at all. They haven't updated their systems, so there's a lot of gaps in the information that's being reported to the NIBRS. Just look it up. Look up NIBRS and type in consistent reporting. You will find out that it is the most inconsistent reporting database that we have, because you have so many districts that are not reporting, like in California and New York and Washington, D.C. We've already found that people, there was like a commander in D.C., but you also see it in New York, where they're literally not reporting. They're downgrading certain crimes so that they don't enter into the NIBRS database as violent crimes. So it's manipulation of data. Now, I want you guys to look at all of the crime stats that have been reported in New York City specifically over the past, let's say, 2 years. And I want you to tell me how many of those were adjusted upward right after. All of them. Not one, not five. All of them underreported violent crime in New York City. And what they also do is they try to disqualify, like certain crimes like assault, like robbery. They downgrade them to like petty theft, or like if somebody punches you in the face in the train station, they'll call it like menacing, harassment. And these things don't make it into the database for the reporting. And what does that do? More funding for your police department, more promotions, great crime data, great stats, more money flooding into New York State to go to all of the NGOs, all of these nonprofits that they're shoveling millions of dollars to go out into the hood and pretend to be doing something while they buy in Mercedes Benzes and shit for themselves, and 90% of the cost is administrative costs. That's the grift, folks. And this is why I'm censored. This is why I'm censored. There are 1.5 million nonprofits in the United States of America. And do you know how much money goes through those nonprofits? About $3.5 trillion. Yeah. We're being scammed, folks. And I'm sorry to tell you that, but we're being scammed. Thank you. So look, I just was, I'm sorry. It's just so crazy that we keep falling for all of this stuff. So look, I hope you all enjoyed I guess maybe I'll call this the inaugural episode where I just came back, where I'm back. Tony L is back. You're going to be seeing more from me here. I'm going to be posting more consistently on these social media platforms. It's tough to be doing this when I'm doing it all by myself, but I just think that we're at a moment in history where the truth needs to be told, no matter who's telling it. The choice to accept it or reject it is up to you. But as I said, this rent freeze that so many people are celebrating, just know this: 41% of the rentals in New York City are rent stabilized units. And that 41%, they already pay below market rate, or a majority of them. They pay below market rate for the units in which they reside. Zohran Mamdani just capped their rent. What will that do for the other 50? Well, there's about 50% of people who are renting on a private market, people who are not renting in rent stabilized units. You know what it's going to do for the other 50% of people outside of like the 8% in NYCHA? You know what it's going to do for all of you guys? It's going to raise your rent, especially with the incoming raised property taxes and all the other expenses. But when you couple it with the decreased supply of housing that is going to result from this decision by the Rent Control Board, you're going to have, bro, the prices are going up. Rent is about to skyrocket again. The last time it skyrocketed was when they implemented that law that banned like real estate agents from charging like fees for security or something like that. Yeah, it shot up like 15% when that happened. Now, oh, I guarantee it's going to shoot up way more, because now it's not even just the process of getting a commission or finding the apartment. It's the fact that you're going to have less housing stock available. And when the supply decreases, the demand increases. That's when you're going to start seeing bidding wars for these apartments. Someone might be charging $4,000 a month for a 3-bedroom, but by the time he gets like 40 people that are trying to get it, look, someone said your stupidity is legendary. That's another thing about social media. Mike Tyson was right. Social media made people real comfortable saying shit on the internet that they would never say in your face because they get punched in the mouth. But yeah, so the supply goes down, the property it goes up. People are going to be going back. We saw the bidding wars for apartments during like the pandemic. Remember that? When you saw people, they were just like desperately offering more and more and more money to secure the apartments because there was so little supply. We have a historic low in housing supply right now in New York City. And this rent freeze is going to even decrease more that supply. It's going to decrease the supply even more. So I don't know. I just encourage folks to please just do your research and pay attention to these things instead of celebrating these Pyrrhic victories, because in the end, this is going to cost you a hell of a lot more than anyone else. All right. And just think of it this way. After Zohran Mamdani, his plan is done, they're going to seize a whole bunch of private property, and then you're all going to be living in community housing projects. Now, that's not me saying so. That's Zohran Mamdani saying so. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys very soon, and peace.
Hey,
I'm just doing it.
welcome to Tony Talk. Let's set the scene where conversations flow smooth, if you know what I mean. We dive deep into topics that spark and ignite culture and politics in the moon soft light. Like rich beats and a soulful vibe. Real talk, no sugar, we keep it alive.
They ain't breaking the silence with every single word. In a world full of noise, hear what you've heard. From the streets to the jazz bars where the real ones play. Let's unravel the fabric of our modern day sway. R&B melodies weaving through the air. Thoughts tumbling dance, it's more than just flair. Hey, no right or wrong, just shades of gray. Tony's here to challenge in a soulful way. So think critically, open your mind. In this rhythms of life, let's see what we find. Tony Talk, the stage where we break the mold. Taboo topics, treasures to behold. Yeah.